The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
Bellying up to the 9-foot homemade oak bar, pour yourself a cold one because it's the weekend here in Evergreen Park, and this is the EP Podcast brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, who reminds you that it's never too early to start teaching your kids about money. Hannah, my child, Dominic, lost $70 the other day.
How did he lose $70?
Because he's a goon. I claim that Erica over here stole it. Like, that was the first thing I said. I was like, did you take his money? Like, were you getting ready to go out with Hannah and you didn't have any cash and you thought to yourself, like, I'll just take this kid's money because he leaves it on a shelf in his room. Like, it's just a stack of cash.
Do that.
And you meant to bring it back to him and maybe you forgot. Like, that was the first thing I thought. But she didn't, right, Erica? You didn't take his money.
I did not.
You sure
take
you
his
didn't take
money?
He found his money. I'm just joking around, okay? But he.
Do you want to know where he found his money?
Where did he find his
I'm dying
money?
to know.
He found his money in a pair of sweatpants in the bottom of his laundry pile that you see on the other side of my basement.
Yeah.
In a pair of sweatpants and a laundry pile that I don't think the sweatpants were washed, and it was like at the bottom of the pile.
So
that's where he finally.
So they stunk.
First of all, how's a 13-year-old got $70? I mean, like, what he does is he takes his allowance and he just accrues it. He's like my saver. You get $10 to Audrey, it's gone. Dominic saves it, but he doesn't put it in the right place. He should be putting it into a bank. If you have a kid that spends their money willy-nilly like my daughter, or loses it in his sweatpants like my son, maybe get them a junior savers account from the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. Help them take their first step toward a healthy financial future with that account, and they will see interest earning on every dollar they deposit so they can watch their money grow. Show your kids how rewarding saving can be. Learn more at bankevergreenpark.com/junior savers. No minimum required to open. Member FDIC. Let's get to your weekend weather, shall we? On Friday, the date comes out. 73 is your high, and we're expecting rain throughout the day, but in the evening, dropping to 61, and hopefully the rain goes away. And that's perfect because the Evergreen Park High School football team is playing their last home game of the year. Head coach Jerry Verde on this program in just a few minutes. On Saturday, 79 is the high, partly cloudy. And Sunday, 85 degrees with only a 5% chance of rain. And hopefully we're watching the White Sox win a baseball game.
Don't you jinx it.
Listen, I watched, we're recording on Thursday night here, and I'm just in a mood. Maybe we'll get into it at some point, but I'm in a mood after watching game 1, but I'm going to game 3 on Sunday, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. That's a game on Sunday, though. We have a game on Friday, and that's why we're going to go to our guest here. Joining me on the phone line right now, as he does each and every week before his team takes the field on a Friday night, from the Evergreen Park Mustang football team, head coach Jerry Verde. How are you, Coach?
I'm good, Chris.
You know, you didn't win this one this past week. It was going to be a tough contest. Tell us what happened on Friday.
Yeah, it was going to be a difficult game, but not unwinnable, and that's exactly what ended up happening. It was a tough game, and we go into the second quarter with about 5 minutes left to go, and we're winning 3-0, and they completed a long pass where the coverage was really good. It was just a good pass, good catch, and they kind of reversed the field, and they went in and scored, and now it's 7-3, and then we turned the ball over pretty much on the first play, from scrimmage after we get the kickoff, and they poked it in on a short field, and then we went in at halftime 14-3 instead of 7-3 or 3-0. And that changed things a little. And then the second half, we played pretty well. Offense moved the ball. We scored the one touchdown, but they moved the ball more than that. We didn't convert on a fourth down, and the second half was pretty much 7-7, and that was the ball game. And when we watched the film Saturday morning with with the players and saw the mistakes that we made, we're there. Once again, it was a tough game, but we could have won it.
Yeah, and it sounds like everything just kind of turns on a dime for you, and you just have basically a couple of bad minutes. Otherwise, you play these guys even. What is that like as a coach when because I always see it in NFL games and college games as well, where there's just a few really bad minutes, like where all of a sudden a play that you have covered perfectly, still they make an incredible play to be able to get the big change in field position and they get the touchdown, and then you get that turnover and boom, like on a dime, everything changes and you got to calm down your team and get them back and focused again. What is that like?
Well, you hit upon it. I mean, football is an emotional game at every level, but particularly, high school football is an emotional game, and as the tide kind of goes back and forth, there can be times in a game where the tide really goes against you, and things they'll start going bad, and that's kind of what happened to us, and we were able to bounce back in the second half, but by then, I guess it could be said, because you see what happened at the end of the game, that last 5 minutes in that first half, it was too late. That's kind of what happens in high school football. Sometimes you're on the other end of that and everything goes well for you. But we talk about resilience all the time and being able to weather when things happen, and understanding that no game is ever going to be perfect, and you got to go. You got to talk about next play, and that's really been our emphasis, because as we get into this week, we're in a very similar situation. It's going to be a tough game. No one denies that, but it's a game that we could win, and the only way to win that is to show our resilience and make that happen.
You have an interesting setup here for the last 3 games of the season, but just to fill people in who might not exactly know how the Mustangs have been doing this year, you have the second best conference record inside of your conference at 3-1 right now, and you're also the second best overall record from what I can see here, unless Max Preps is wrong. You've only given up 68 points this year, which is the lowest amount of points given up by any team in your conference, and you've got 3 games here lined up where you're going to play coming up this weekend. It's your last home game of your regular season. You're going up against a 5-1 Richards team, which is that one team that sits ahead of you in overall record and also conference record. It's going to be an absolutely huge test. And then after that, you've got Eisenhower and Oak Lawn, which sit more towards the bottom if you look at the standings right now. Is this the big test? And do you look at this game as we got to prove ourselves here, but then we got to take care of business in the back end so that we can get this team into the postseason? How does this all work?
Well, the one thing that you learn over the years coaching high school football is that you can never put a label on a game that it's must win or we're in bad shape, or must win or the rest of the season's going to be whatever. The game this week, we want to win. We go into every game with that situation, but there's no game on our schedule unless we weren't to be successful for both of these, week 7, week 8. That is a has to win or we're not in the playoffs. However, the difference between 7-2 and 6-3 or 6-3 and 5-4, is big. And when you're getting the playoff pairings and who you're going to play into the playoffs and things like that. So the game's big, but at the same time, the season doesn't end after week 7. So we understand that, and we don't have an easy game to finish our schedule. Our last 3 teams, Richards is Richards, and both Eisenhower and Oak Lawn are good teams this year, and it's going to be a challenge.
Let's take a look real quick at Richards. Let's take a look at this weekend. What do you say about this team? What are their strengths? How do you match up? What do you have to do to be able to win this game?
Well, it's a similar story to what we talked about, a lot of weeks. Once again, they're going to come in and they're going to have the size advantage on us, and they have some really good skill players, some very talented players. Their running back is very good, and they've got a few guys that they cycle in at quarterback. All of them are pretty decent, and defensively they fly around the ball. They're an attack defense, and what we have to do to win the game is a very similar story to each week. You have to limit your turnovers. If we can win the turnover game, that'd be part number 1 to winning. We need to control the ball for a little. You know, we need to get those first downs and hold on to the ball. Then we have to stop them. And they haven't been an easy team to stop. Their offense has been good, and what they do, they are a run-heavy team, and the way they run the ball, they use multiple formations, and as I said before, they really do. They have a really good running back, and he gets his yards every game, and yards aren't the problem. The problem is, does he get into the end zone, and you know, for 5 out of their 6 games he has.
Any players over the last couple of weeks really jump out at you?
Well, James Williams, once again, had another good game. He did rush for 100 yards, and he seems to continue to get stronger as the season goes on. You know, we had some pretty good line play last week, and that starts at our center with Aiden McDermott, and he plays defensive tackle for us too. So he had a pretty good game, and also defensively, we had, Michael Torres had a pretty good game, and Jalen Shepard had a pretty good game. The one thing we did relatively well Friday night is we were able to capitalize when the ball was on the ground, and we were able to be in the plus in the turnover game. And, that's what kind of put us in a situation where we could have won the game. You know, that's kind of an emphasis for this week, too.
Last home game of the regular season. The day this episode comes out, Friday, the 8th of October, a 7 p.m. start. And you know what? There's no reason to not get out there and see the Mustangs play, because game 2 of the ALDS with the White Sox should be over by then. So you can get your White Sox in, and then you can go and you can watch a game in person. I think you're going to go out there and put together a really good game. Good luck against Richards on Friday night.
Thanks, Chris.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. You girls have a good time at Oktoberfest?
I had a blast.
Yeah?
Even though it rained, I didn't even care that it rained.
Well, that's because you were both boozing.
We were both
I had a
boozing.
great time.
Yeah, I know you had a good time.
Yeah, open outcry
I could
was
tell by the
there.
hangover the next morning you had a good time.
I ordered bacon and pancakes, and I had them delivered to the house the next morning.
Yeah, well, that's a hangover
that's
move
so
as well.
smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. She's smarter than you after she drinks all of John Brand's Open Outcry beer.
2 orders of bacon.
Yeah, you guys were determined
Fat
to
stack
show
of
John how
pancakes.
well you could drink at that thing, and it showed. Yes, exactly.
We had tickets. We paid for it.
And we drank it.
Anyway, all right. So at that event, there was that collection that was going on for the homeless veterans. We actually talked to one of the several moms that's running that, and it's on a previous show you can find on demand right here at the EP Podcast, anywhere podcasts can be found, or always at the eppodcast.com. They're doing a secondary collection on Saturday this weekend, the 9th of October, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m., and they're looking for things like deodorant, hand soap, dishwashing soap, laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, body wash, toothpaste, toothbrushes, face mask, you name it. If you think it'll help them out, a toiletry, toilet paper, paper towels, bring it on over between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. over to the community center, and they will do that collection. That's like a bonus collection after Oktoberfest. The Halloween parade is now scheduled for Friday, October the 29th from 6 p.m. until 7:30 at 50 Acre Park. You were pumped about this, right? You were telling somebody about this the other day. Like, Erica just starts telling somebody how wonderful the Evergreen Park Halloween parade is the other day. I'm like, really? Like, that was what was stuck in your mind?
Well, I saw it at Oktoberfest. They had that neat kind of like wagon that they had in the front with all the blow-ups and everything. So it looks like there's going to be like a pumpkin patch, and there's going to be...
I have it all in front of me if you want, if you don't want to guess.
Please.
Costume parade, pumpkin patch, refreshments, entertainment, a hayride, goodie bag, pumpkin decorating, and who knows? I mean, if the White Sox keep playing the way that they're playing, I won't have tickets that weekend, and maybe the EP podcast will be there as well. It's open to EP resident children up to age 11 along with their parents, and they're going to have the barn open. They're going to have an open house tour, go see the animals over at 50 Acre Park.
Yay! Yay!
Another event going on, and joining us on Monday on this program to talk about it, the second annual Fanta Sci Fest on Saturday, October the 30th. I remember when Glenn Panuski did this, and I want to say it was in February of 2020, right before COVID broke out. And I was like, Glenn, this is a Halloween thing. Like, this is something you want to do around the time that people want to dress up in costumes, because it has not only, fun stuff that has to do with fantasy, but also sci-fi. There's going to be Dungeons and Dragons games and,
Any anime for your daughter?
Yes, and a film program, but there's also like cosplay. Like, when people go to these things, they dress up. Right, they dress up as like their favorite character. That's going to be happening, and the EP podcast is going to be there as well. It's happening from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. You can come out and celebrate your inner nerd at the Evergreen Park Senior Center at 9547 South Homan Avenue. And here's the deal. If you want to participate, if you want to be a vendor, make sure you tune in on Monday, because Glenn's going to have information as to how you can become part of Fanta Sci Fest and more details that I don't have in front of me right now. On Monday, October the 11th, this coming Monday, the Village Hall is closed for Columbus Day, but your trash pickup will happen on its regularly scheduled days. So if you're like me and you send out your 13-year-old son and he looks at you and goes, whoa, there's a holiday, I don't need to take out the garbage on such and such night. You tell him no, now walk out there and drag out all those garbage cans. The Evergreen Park Youth Department has some upcoming programs you want to know about. They still have a few spots open for that American Academy of Pediatrics babysitters class on Saturday, October the 23rd. That is a full day thing, 9 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. You bring a disposable lunch, and your kids have to wear a face mask. $45 per student. Register now. What they're going to do is teach them everything from CPR to the Heimlich maneuver to proper babysitting etiquette. Everything that they need to know. What?
What's a disposable lunch?
I was going to ask that too.
I don't know. That's what it says on the flyer.
Disposable
I saw that too. Like, isn't all lunch disposable?
Disposable.
It's disposable in my
all
belly.
Disposable.
Maybe
Right.
a bag lunch.
That's probably what it should say.
A disposable
I don't know.
lunch.
Maybe you can't say, maybe that's offensive to paper bags. I don't know why things are worded the way they are in 2021. I have no idea. Okay, I have no clue why you can't just say bring a lunch in a paper bag. But a disposable lunch is now the new term.
Disposable
Right?
lunch.
It's like when you used to say I got to go to the bathroom, and then somebody one day told you it was a restroom, and you're like, what? Do I go in there and take a nap? Like, it's like one of those things. If you want to be a part of this and bring your disposable lunch, registration form and payment are due on October the 8th, which means the day this episode comes out. So get over there on Friday, 3450 West 97th Street, and get that all taken care of. Any questions, call our friend Paisha, 708-229-3377. Otherwise, that's it for the weekend.
That's it.
I know what we've got coming in on Monday. I have some angst that I want to talk to you girls about.
Angst?
Yeah, we're going to break it all down.
You're mad?
I got Glenn Panuski coming in here to talk about Fanta Sci Fest. I just hope he doesn't ask me to dress as a wizard or something like that. I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Oh, but then you got to do it if he asks you.
No, I don't
That's so
have to do
rude.
it. Whatever. And then I also have
That's
Amy.
rude.
I have Amy Kazin coming in here from Evergreen Park Community High School, who deals with everything from their marching band. I see her around all the plays that they put together. She just asked for time. I have no idea what they're doing, but they always do big events, and I know Halloween's coming up. They did some cool stuff over the last couple of years. So, if you got kids or if you're in the, big Halloween celebrations, make sure you check out that on Monday's show. Remember, subscribe anywhere podcasts can be found and always at the eppodcast.com. So many people at Oktoberfest told me that they wait for it to pop up in their Facebook. Facebook went down like last week, right?
I didn't even know it went down. We were
Beginning of
so
the week.
busy at work. And then, when I did get on Facebook, everyone's like, oh, I survived. I'm like, I did too.
You
What
survived.
happened?
Somebody went on 60 Minutes and basically proved everything about Facebook that I've said for years, that Facebook wants you to be angry at everybody else on Facebook because anger means more clicks.
Yes.
It means more arguments. It means more money that they make.
Yep.
It is a terrible, awful thing. And we just put our show on Facebook because we want to find new listeners. But seriously, just subscribe, and then you don't have to look at Facebook so often, all right? Go to the eppodcast.com, and as you scroll along, or if you look at an episode, every podcast app is available to you. Click through and just sign up. You'll never miss anything. Or go to the eppodcast.com and just put your email in. There's like a little thing that captures emails right on the front site, and I send out an email to your email box with a little button. And when you hit it, you get the show. And you never have to look at Facebook again. So like if you weren't frustrated about Facebook going down because you wish Facebook didn't exist, there's options for you and you still get the EP podcast. If you've now realized I don't want to have anything to do with Facebook, don't worry. You don't have to miss the EP podcast. So remember you can do that. Check out the EPpodcast.com.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement. And the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nude is basement. Broadcast basement. The nudist basement. The broad basement. Slancha.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found. And always at the EPpodcast.com.